Act 1 of Curculio, or The Forgery, by Titus Maccius Plautus, translated by Henry Thomas Riley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Dramatis Persona.
Curculio, the Parasite of Phaedromus. Read by Greg Giordano.
Therapontigonus, a captain of Caris. Read by Beeswaxcandle.
Phaedromus, a young man in love with Planesium. Read by Kristen Hand.
Palinurus, servant of Phaedromus. Read by Inkell.
Cook, servant of Phaedromus. Read by David Purdy.
Lyco, a banker. Read by Todd.
Cappadox, a Procurer. Read by Alan Mapstone.
Corrigus, or Director of the Chorus. Read by Elijah Fisher.
Planesium, a young woman belonging to Cappadox. Read by Rita Boutros.
An old woman, a procuress. Read by Sonia.
Stage directions, read by Estefania Vidal. Scene: Epidaurus in Peloponnesus, before the houses of Phaedromus and Cappadox, and the temple of Aesculapius. Act 1, Scene 1, before daybreak. Enter at one side of the stage Phaedromus with a lighted torch, and followed by slaves with wine and provisions for an entertainment, and Palinurus on the opposite side.
Whither away must I say that you are going out of doors at this time of night, Phaedromus, with that dress and with this train?
Whither Venus and Cupid summon me, and love persuades me. Whether 'tis the midnight, or whether the earliest twilight, if the day is fixed for pleading your cause with your antagonist, still must you go where they command you, whether you will or no.
But pray,
you are annoying to me.
Really, that is neither pretty nor befitting you to say. You are your own servant, in your fine garb you are showing the light with your waxen torch.
And ought I not to carry that which is gathered by the labor of the little bees, which has its birth in sweets, to my own sweet one, my little honey?
Whither must I say that you are going?
If you ask me that, I'll tell, so that you may know.
If I make the inquiry, what would you answer me?
This is the temple,
pointing to it,
of Asclepius.
That I have known for more than a 12-month past.
Close to it is that door, dear as my very eyes.
Points to the door of Cappadox.
Hail to you, door, dear as my very eyes. Have you been quite well of late?
Did a fever leave you but yesterday, or the day before, and did you take your dinner yesterday?
Are you laughing at me?
Why then, madman, are you inquiring whether the door is well or not?
I' faith, I've known it as a door most comely and most discreet. Never one word does it whisper. When it is opened, it is silent, and when by night she secretly comes out to me, it holds its peace.
And are you not, Phaedromus, doing or contemplating the doing of some deed which is unworthy of yourself or of your family? Are you not laying a snare for some modest fair one, or for one that should be modest?
For no one, and may Jupiter not permit me to do so.
I wish the same. Ever if you are wise, so bestow your love, that if the public should know the object which you love, it may be no disgrace to you. Ever do you take care that you not be disgraced?
What means that expression?
For you to proceed with caution on your path, the object that you love in the presence of witnesses.
Why, 'tis a procurer that lives there.
He points.
No one drives you away from there, nor yet forbids you, if you have the money, to buy what's openly on sale. No one forbids any person from going along the public road, as long as he doesn't make a path through the field that's fenced around, so long as you keep yourself away from the wife, the widow, the maiden, youthful age, and freeborn children. Love what you please.
This is the house of a procurer.
A curse befall it.
Why so?
Because it serves in an infamous service.
You speak out.
Be it so, most especially.
Once more, will you hold your tongue?
You bade me speak out, I thought.
Then now I forbid you. But, as I had begun to say, he has a young female slave.
This Procurer, you mean, who's living here?
You have hold of it exactly.
The less shall I be in dread of its falling.
You are impertinent. He wishes to make her a courtesan, while she is desperately in love with me, whereas I don't wish to have her upon loan.
Why so?
Because I'm for having her as my own. I love her equally as well.
Clandestine courtship is bad. 'Tis utter ruin.
It troth. 'Tis so as you say.
Has she as yet submitted to the yoke of Venus?
For me, she is as chaste as though she were my own sister, unless, indeed, she is any the more unchaste for some kissing.
Always, do you understand, flame follows very close on smoke. With smoke nothing can be burned. With flame it can. He who wishes to eat the kernel of the nut first breaks the nut. He who wishes to seduce opens the dance with kisses.
But she is chaste, and never yet has bestowed her favours upon man.
That I could believe, if any Procurer had any shame.
Well, but what think you of her? When she has any opportunity, she steals away to me. When she has given me a kiss, she's off again. This happens by reason of this, because this Procurer is lying abed ill in the temple of Asclepius. That fellow is my torturer.
How so?
At one time he asked me for 30 mina for her, at another for a great talent, and from him I cannot obtain any fair and just dealing.
You are too exacting in requiring that of him which no Procurer possesses.
Now I've sent my Parasite hence to Caria, to ask for money on loan from my friend. If he doesn't bring me this, which way to turn myself I know not.
If you salute the deities, towards the right, I think. Now this is the altar of Venus before their door.
I have already vowed to bring me an early breakfast for my Venus.
What? Will you then be giving up yourself as a breakfast to Venus?
Myself, and you, and all of these.
Pointing to the slaves.
Then you would have Venus to be sick, outright.
Phaedromus to an attendant.
Here, boy, give me the bowl.
What are you going to do?
You'll know directly. An old hag is in the habit of sleeping here, as the keeper of the door. The name of the procuress is Much Bibber and Neat Bibber.
Just as you would speak of a flagon in which Chiar wine is wont to be.
What need is there of words? She is a most vinous soul, and the very moment that I've sprinkled this door with the wine, she knows by the smell that I'm here, and opens it forthwith.
Is it for her the bowl is brought with the wine?
Unless you object.
Faith, I do object, for I'd rather have it broken about him who has brought it. I fancied it was brought for ourselves.
Why don't you hold your tongue? If any's left after her, it will be enough for ourselves.
What river is it, pray, that the sea does not receive?
Follow me this way, Palinurus, to the door. Do you be obedient to me.
I'll do so.
They advanced to the door of the Procurer's house. Phaedromus sprinkling the door with wine.
Come, drink, you joyous door, quaff on. Readily prove propitious unto me.
Door, would you like some olives, or a titbit, or some capers?
Arouse and send out here to me your portress.
You're spilling the wine. What matter is it that possesses you?
Takes hold of his arm.
Let me alone. Don't you see? This most joyous door is opening. Does the hinge make a bit of creaking? 'Tis a charming one.
Why don't you give it a kiss?
Hold your tongue. Let's keep back the light and our noise.
Be it so.
They stand apart, leaving the bowl near the door. Scene 2. Enter the Procuress from the house of Cappadox.
Ah, the savour of aged wine has reached my nostrils. The love of it has brought me in my eagerness hither in the dark. Wherever it is, it's near me. Oh, capital! I found it.
Stooping and smelling at the bowl.
Hail to you, my soul, joy of dear Bacchus! How enamoured am I of your old age! For in comparison with yours, the odor of all unguents were mere bilge water. You are my myrrh, you my cinnamon, you my rose, you my saffron unguent and my cassia. You are my vine palm scent. But where you have been poured, there would I most earnestly hope to be buried.
Palinurus apart.
This old lady's thirsty. How limited is her thirst?
She's a moderate person. She swallows 8 gallons only.
I' faith, according to your account, this year's vintage is not enough for this old woman alone.
But since as yet you, fragrance, alone have penetrated to my nostrils, so in its turn affords some delight to my throat.
Feels for the bowl on the ground, which Palinurus draws away.
I find you not. Where is your own dear self? I'm longing to touch you. Do let me pour your liquids into me by sipping. But in this direction it has gone. This way I'll follow it.
Goes in the direction of Palinurus, who has the bowl. Palinurus apart.
It really had been more proper for her to be a dog. She has a good nose.
Prithee, whose voice is it that I hear at a distance?
I think that this old hag should be accosted. I'll approach her. Come back, Procurus, and look back towards me.
Who is it that gives his commands?
The all-powerful in wine, jolly Bacchus. He who, when you're hawking, parched and half asleep, brings you a draught and comes to quench your thirst.
How far is he away from me?
Phaedromus holding up the torch.
See this light.
Then prithee, do quicken your pace towards me.
Health to you.
How can I have health who am parched with thirst?
But you shall drink in a moment.
'Tis long a coming.
Phaedromus extending the bowl.
Here's for you, jolly old dame.
Health to you, gentlemen, dear as my very eyes.
Come, toss this off quickly into your abyss. Scour out your sink right speedily.
Hold your tongue. I won't have her ill spoken to.
Palinurus aside.
In preference, then, I'll do her ill.
Procurer pouring some of the residue on the altar.
Venus, of this very little will I give to thee, sore against my will. For all the lovers in their cups do propitiate thee, expend their wine upon thee, not such windfalls often fall to me.
Drinks again.
Do look at that, please. How greedily the filthy hag swills down the pure wine into herself with distended gullet.
Procurer patting her stomach and chuckling.
How is it? Do you like it?
I do like it.
And I too should like to goad with a spur as well.
Phaedromus aside to Palinurus.
Don't you? Do hold your tongue.
I'll hold my tongue.
The old woman drinks.
But see, the rainbow's drinking. I've faith, I do believe it will rain today.
Troth now, I'm quite undone. What first to say to her I know not.
Why, the same thing that you said to me.
What's that?
Say that you're quite undone.
May the gods confound you.
Say so to her.
Am I to say then to her?
Say what?
That I'm quite undone.
Well then, say so.
Old lady, do listen. I wish you to know this. To my sorrow, I'm quite undone.
Ah, but in faith, for my part, I am altogether brought to life. But why is it that you are pleased to say you are quite undone?
Because I'm deprived of the object which I love.
Pretends to weep.
My dear Phaedromus, prithee do not weep. Do you take care that I am not thirsty. I'll at once bring out here for you the object which you love.
Goes into the house.
Assuredly, if you keep faith with me in place of a golden statue, I'll erect for you one of wine, which shall be a memorial to your gullet. Palinurus, Who on earth will be so blessed as myself if she comes to me?
By my faith, he who is in love, if he is in want as well, is afflicted with a dreadful malady.
Such is not the case with me. For I feel sure that this very day my parasites will come hither to me with the money.
You attempt something mighty, if you expect that which nowhere exists.
What if I approach the door and trill a carol?
If you choose, I neither bid nor request you, since my master, I see that you are of manners and disposition thus changed.
Bolts, O ye bolts, with pleasure do I salute you. I love you, I court you, I seek you and you entreat. Most kindly lend your aid to me in love. Become, for my sake, as though play actors from foreign climes. Leap upwards, pray, and send out of doors this fair one, who drains my blood for me distractedly in love.
Addressing Palinurus.
Look at that. How those most accursed bolts sleep on, and none the quicker for my sake do they bestir themselves.
Addressing the door.
I see quite clearly that you don't value my esteem at all. Hist! Hush! Hush!
I troth, for my part, I'm silent enough.
I hear a noise. At last, in faith, these bolts have become complacent to me.
Scene 3. Re-enter the Procurers with Planesium from the house of Cappadox. Procuress to Planesium while opening the door.
Come softly out, and prevent the noise of the doors and the creaking of the hinges, my dear Planesium, that our master mayn't perceive that is going on which we are doing here. Stay, I'll pour a little water on it.
Pours water on the hinges. Palinurus to Phaedromus.
Do you see how the palsied hag is giving her dose? She herself has learned right well to drink up the wine. To the door she's giving water for it to drink.
Planesium looking around.
Where are you? You who have summoned me on the recognizances of Venus. To you do I present myself, and in the same way do I call on you, on the other hand, to present yourself to me.
Phaedromus stepping forward.
Here I am. For could I be absent, I wouldn't repine for any misfortune to befall me, my honey.
My life, it is not becoming for one thus in love to be at a distance.
Palinurus, Palinurus.
Say on, why is it that you call upon Palinurus?
Phaedromus aside.
She is a charming one.
Ay, too charming.
I am a god.
Why, no, a mortal of no great value.
What have you seen, or what will you see, more nearly to be compared with the gods?
You are not in your senses, master, a thing that's grievous to me.
You are not sufficiently respectful to me. Hold your tongue.
The person that sees the object which he loves and enjoys not the opportunity while he may, is one who torments his own self.
Rightly does he rebuke me. Really, there's nothing for which this long time past I have more eagerly desired.
Clasp me, embrace me then.
Phaedromus embracing her.
This, too, is a reason for which I could wish to live, because your master restrained you. In secret do I court you.
Restrain me? He neither can restrain me, nor will he restrain me, unless death should separate my soul from you.
Let monarchs keep their kingdoms to themselves, the rich their riches to themselves their honors, to themselves their prowess, to themselves their combats, to themselves their battles. So long as they abstain from envying me, let each of them keep what is his own.
Palinurus aside.
Of a truth, I cannot refrain from giving a lecture to my master, for really it is good to love in a moderate degree. To distraction it is not good, but to love to entire distraction is the thing that my master is doing. What say you, sir? Have you made a vow, Phaedromus, you'd watch the night through for Venus? For really, upon my faith, before very long hence the dawn will be breaking.
Do hold your tongue.
Why hold my tongue? What, are you going to sleep?
I am asleep. Don't you make a noise.
Why, but you're broad awake.
Aye, but after my own fashion I'm asleep. This is my slumber.
Palinurus to Planesium.
A word with you, madame. 'Tis thoughtlessness to treat amiss one who deserves it not.
You would be angry if, when you are eating, he were to drive you away from your food.
Palinurus aside.
It's all over with him. I see that these two are equally in love to distraction, and both of them are mad. Do you see how intensely they hug each other? They cannot embrace enough.
Addressing them.
Are you going to part yet?
No human being has blessings that last forever. To this pleasure, then, is that plague added.
What say you, you shocking hussy? What, you little tipsy ninny? Are even you, with your owlish eyes, to be calling me a plague, you whippersnapper?
What? You abusing my own Venus? And really, is a slave well trounced with the rod to be commencing a discussion with myself? But by the powers, you've surely said that to your own misfortune.
Strikes him.
There, take that by way of punishment for this abusive language, that you may be able to put a check upon your speech.
Palinurus to Planesium.
Your aid, I pray, you night-watching Venus.
What? Do you still persist, whip scoundrel?
Strikes him.
Don't, there's a dear, be beating a stone, lest you should hurt your hand.
You perpetuate, Phaedromus, a flagitious and a shameful deed of great enormity, when he directs you aright. You pummel with your fists her who you are in love with, a mere nonentity. Is it right that you should behave yourself in this unreasonable manner?
Find me a reasonable lover against his weight in gold. Here, take the gold of me.
Holds out his purse.
Do you find me a person for me to serve in his sound senses against his weight in double distilled gold?
Kindly fare you well, apple of my eye, for I hear the sound and creaking of doors. I think the keeper is opening the temple. But prithee, in this same manner shall we always enjoy our love by stealth?
Far from it, for I sent my Parasite 4 days since to Caria to fetch some money. He'll be here today.
You are very long in your contriving.
So may Venus love me. I'll never allow you to be 3 days in this house here before I procure your liberty.
Take care to remember it. Once more, before I go hence, take this kiss.
Kisses him.
By heavens! Really, if a kingdom now were offered me, I should not obtain it with greater pleasure. When shall I see you again?
Why now, for that expression, get ready the praetor's rod. If you love me, purchase my freedom. Don't make any haggling. Take care to prevail with your offer. Kindly adieu.
Goes into the house of the Procurer.
And am I then left behind? Palinurus, I'm killed outright.
And I as well, who am dying with thumps and sleepiness.
Do you follow me?
They go into the house of Phaedromus. End of Act 1. Act 2 of Curculio, or The Forgery, by Titus Maccius Plautus, translated by Henry Thomas Riley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Cappadox from the temple of Aesculapius. Cappadox, to himself.
I am resolved to depart from this temple out of doors forthwith, since thus I find the determination of Aesculapius, who sets me at naught, and chooses not that I should be healed. My health is declining, my weakness increases, for now I walk girded with my spleen as though with a belt. In my stomach I do seem to be holding a twin offspring. I am afraid of nothing but that, in my misery, I should burst asunder in the middle.
Enter Palinurus from the house of Phaedromus. Palinurus, speaking to Phaedromus within as he enters.
If you do right, Phaedromus, you'll listen to me and banish this sorrow from your feelings. You are anxious because your parasite hasn't returned from Caria. I think he'll bring the money, but if he doesn't bring it, by a chain of iron he couldn't be withheld from betaking himself to eat at his manger.
Cappadox, turning around.
What person is this that speaks?
Palinurus to himself.
Whose voice is that I hear?
Isn't this Palinurus, the servant of Phaedromus?
Palinurus aside.
Who is this fellow with extended paunch and eyes as green as grass? From his figure I know him. From his complexion I cannot recognize him. Oh, now I do know him. It's the Procurer Cappadox. I'll accost him.
Save you, Palinurus.
Oh, source of villainies, save you. How are you?
I am just alive.
Just as you deserve, I suppose. But what's the matter with you?
My spleen is killing me. My reins are in torment. My lungs are being torn asunder. My liver is being tortured. My heartstrings are giving way. All my intestines are in pain.
The liver complaint is afflicting you, then?
My spleen is expanded.
Take walking exercise. That's the best thing for the spleen.
It is an easy matter to laugh at the afflicted.
Well, then, do you hold out for some days until your intestines become putrid? Now, while the humours are pretty sound, if you do that, you yourself might sell for a worse price than these intestines of yours.
Prithee, have done with this, and answer me this which I ask. Can you possibly form a conjecture on it if I relate to you what I dreamt last night in my sleep?
Pshaw, this,
pointing to himself.
This is the sole person that is really skilled in divination. Why, the interpreters of dreams ask advice of myself. The answer that I have given them, by that opinion they all stand.
Scene 2. Enter a cook from the house of Phaedromus.
Palinurus, why do you delay? Why are not the things served out for me, which are needed for the breakfast to be prepared for the Parasite when he comes?
Wait, please, until I interpret his dream.
Pointing to Cappadox.
Why, you your own self, if you've had any dream, always apply to me.
I confess it.
Be off then, and serve out the things.
Palinurus to Cappadox.
Come now, do you in the meantime relate your dream to him. I give you a substitute better than I am myself, for what I do know, all of it I know from him.
Pointing to the cook.
Let him give his attention, then.
He'll give it.
He does what few do, in being attentive to their masters even.
To the cook.
Do you give me your attention, then?
Palinurus goes into the house of Phaedromus.
Although I don't know you, I'll give it you.
Last night I seemed in my sleep to behold Aesculapius seated at a distance far away from me, and it seemed that he didn't come near me or set any value upon me.
The other gods will do the same, you must know. In fact, among themselves they agree with perfect unanimity. It isn't to be wondered at, if it fares no better with you. But it had been better for you to pass the night in Jove's temple, who has given you his assistance in your oaths.
If indeed those should wish to sleep there who have been guilty of perjury, it were not possible for room to be found them in the capital.
Give your attention to this. Ask peace of Aesculapius, lest perchance some great mishap befall you, which has been portended to you in your rest.
You do well in advising me. I'll go and pray to him.
Goes into the temple.
And ill speed you with it.
Goes into the house of Phaedromus. Scene 3. Enter Palinurus from the house. Palinurus, looking in the distance as he enters.
Oh, immortal gods, whom do I behold? Who's that yonder?
Pointing.
Isn't that the Parasite, who was sent to carry it?
Goes to the door.
Hello? Come out, Phaedromus. Come out. Come out. Come out this instant, I say.
Enter Phaedromus from the house.
Why are you making this noise here?
I see your Parasite running. See, there he is.
Pointing.
Down at the end of the street. Let's listen from here what he's about.
I think it's as well.
They stand aside. Enter Curculio at a distance, walking fast. Curculio to himself.
Known or unknown, make way for me, while here I execute my commission. Fly, all of you, be off, and get out of the way, lest I should hurt any person in my speed, with my head, or elbow, or breast, or with my knee. So suddenly now am I charged with a business of quickness and dispatch, and be there no person ever so opulent to stop me in any way, neither general, nor any tyrant, nor market officer, nor demarch, nor comarch, with their honours so great, that down he goes, and tumbles head first from the footpath into the carriage road. And then those Grecians with their cloaks, who walk about with covered heads, who go loaded beneath their cloaks with books and with baskets, they loiter together, and engage in gossiping among themselves. The gadabouts, you may always see them enjoying themselves in the hot liquor shops, when they have scraped up some trifle. With their covered pates they are drinking mulled wine. Sad and maudlin they depart. If I stumble upon them here, from every single one of them I'll squeeze out a belch from their pearled barley diet. And then those servants of your dainty townsmen, who are playing at catch-ball in the road, both throwers and catchers, all of them I'll pitch under foot. Would they avoid a mishap? Why then, let them keep at home.
Phaedromus apart.
He points out aright. He only requires that he should speak with authority. For such manners are in vogue in the present day. Such at present are the slaves. Really, control cannot be held over them.
Curculio to himself.
Is there any one, I wonder, who can point out to me Phaedromus, my good genius? The matter is of such pressing nature, I really must meet with the man this instant.
Palinurus apart.
He's looking for you.
What if we accost him? Hello, Curculio, I want you.
Curculio looking around.
Who's calling me? Who's mentioning my name?
One who wishes to meet with you.
Curculio seeing him.
You don't wish more for me than I wish for you.
Oh, my own ready occasion, Curculio, much longed for. Greetings to you.
Greetings to you.
I'm glad that you have arrived safe. Give me your right hand. How stand my hopes? Troth now, prithee, do speak out.
To you, troth now, prithee, do speak out. How stand my own?
Makes curious gestures.
What's the matter with you?
A dimness is beginning to come. My knees are failing through fasting.
I' faith, through lassitude, I think.
Curculio staggering.
Support me, prithee, do support me.
See how pale he has turned. Will you give him a seat? For him to be seated at once, and a ewer with some water? Will you make haste this very instant?
I'm faint.
Would you like some water?
If it's full of bits of meat, prithee, give it me to swallow down in faith.
Woe be to that head of yours.
Troth now, prithee, do give me cause to rejoice at my arrival.
Phaedromus begins to fan him.
By all means.
Prithee, what's this you're about?
Some air.
Really? For my part, I don't want a breath to be raised.
What then?
To eat, that I may rejoice on my arrival.
May Jupiter and the deities confound you.
I'm quite undone. I can hardly see. My mouth is bitter. My teeth, I find, are blunted. My jaws are clammy through fasting, with my entrails thus lank with abstinence from food. am I come?
You shall eat something just now.
In faith, I don't want something. I'd rather have what's fixed for certain than your something.
Aye, but if you only knew what has been put by for you.
I'd very much like to know where it is, for really it's necessary for it, and my teeth to make acquaintance.
A gammon of bacon, a sow's stomach, some udder, and kernels of the throat.
What? All this do you say? Perhaps you mean that they are in the flesh market?
In the dishes, I mean. They've been got ready for you since we knew that you were about to arrive.
Take care you don't be fooling me.
So may the fair one love me whom I love. I don't say what's false, but as to what I sent you upon, I'm none the wiser yet.
I've brought back nothing.
You've undone me.
I can find something if you'll give me your attention. After, at your request, I had set out, I arrived in Caria. I saw your friend. I asked him to make me a loan of some money. In answer, you were to know that he was willing to oblige you. He didn't wish to disappoint you, as it is only proper that a person who is a friend should be ready and should assist his friend. In a few words he answered me, and quite in confidence, that he was in the same extreme want of money as yourself.
By your words you ensure my undoing.
Why, no, I'm saving you, and wish you to be saved. After this answer was given me, I went away from him to the Forum, in sorrow that I had applied to him in vain. By accident I espied a military officer. This person I accosted, and, as I approached, I saluted him. "Save you," said he to me, took my right hand, drew me aside, and asked me why I had come to Caria. I said that I had come there for the sake of amusement. Upon this he asked me whether I knew a certain Lyco, a banker of Epidaurus. I said I knew him. Well, and the Procurer Cappadox? I answered yes, that I had seen him. But what do you want of him? Said I. Because, said he, I bought of him a girl for 30 minae, her clothes and golden jewels too, and for these last 10 minae more are added. Have you paid the money? Said I. No, said he, it is lodged with this Lyco, the banker, whom I was mentioning, and I've instructed him that the person who should bring a letter sealed with my own ring, to him he was to give his services, that he might receive the damsel with her jewels of gold and her clothes from their procurer. After he told me this, I was going away from him. At once he called me back, invited me to dinner. It was a point of conscience. I was unwilling to refuse him. What if we go off home and take our places at table? Said he. The suggestion pleased me. It is neither proper to lengthen out the day, nor to curtail the night. Everything was prepared, and we, for whom it was prepared, were at our places. After we had dined and well drunk, he asked for the dice to be fetched him. He challenged me to play with him a game of hazard. I staked my cloak. He staked his ring against it. He called on the name of Planesium.
What, my mistress?
Be silent a while. He threw a most losing cast. I took up the dice, and invoked Hercules as my genial patron. I threw a first-rate cast, and pledged him in a bumping cup. In return he drank it off, reclined his head, and fell fast asleep. I slyly took away from him the ring, and took my legs quietly from off the couch, so that the captain mightn't perceive it. The servants inquired whither I was going. I said that I was going whither persons when full are wont to go. When I beheld the door, at once, on the instant, I betook myself away from the place.
I commend you.
Commend me when I've brought this thing about which you desire. Now let's go indoors, that we may seal the letter.
Do I delay you?
But let's cram down something first. The gammon, the udder, and the kernels. These are the foundations for the stomach. With bread and roast beef, a good-sized cup and a capacious pot, that counsel enough may be forthcoming. Do you, yourself, seal the letter? He'll do the honors.
Pointing to Palinurus.
While I am eating, I'll dictate after what fashion you're to write. Follow me this way, indoors.
I follow.
They go into the house of Phaedromus. End of Act 2. Act 3 of Curculio, or The Forgery, by Titus Maccius Plautus, translated by Henry Thomas Riley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3, Scene 1. Enter Lyco.
I seem to be in opulence. I've struck my balance, how much money I have and how much I owe. I'm rich, if I don't pay those to whom I'm in debt. If I do pay those to whom I'm in debt, my debts are the greatest. But really, upon my faith, when I carefully consider, if they press me hard, I'll resort to the praetor. Most bankers have this habit, for one to borrow of the other, and to pay nobody, and to discharge the debt with their fists, if anyone duns in a loutish tone. The person that has in a short time acquired wealth, and thus in good time he saves it, in good time comes to starvation. I'd like to buy a servant for myself, who now, however, must be sought by me on hire. There's occasion for my ready money.
Enter Curculio from the house, speaking to Phaedromus within.
Don't you be reminding me now, I'm full. I recollect and understand. I'll render up to you all this cleverly carried out, to hold your peace. In faith, I've surely filled myself indoors right well, and still in my stomach I've left room for one corner, in which to stow away the remnants of these remnants.
Scene Lyco.
Who's this that with covered head is saluting Aesculapius? Heyday! The very man I wanted.
To an attendant.
Follow me. I'll make pretense as though I didn't know him. Hark you! I want you.
Lyco, turning around.
One-eyed man, save you.
Prithee, do you jeer me?
I suppose that you are of the family of the Cocklights, for they are one-eyed.
This was knocked out for me by a catapulta at Sicyon.
What matters it to me, pray, if it had been knocked out by a broken pot with cinders in it?
Curculio, aside.
This fellow's a wizard, surely. He tells the truth, for such catapultas are often directed at me. Young man, as I bear this mark on my face in the service of the public, prithee, don't be uncivil to me.
May I then emphorize you, if I may not incomitiatize?
You shan't be enforizing me, indeed, and really, I don't care at all about your forum or your comitia. But if you can point me out this person that I'm seeking, you will be doing me a real and a great service. I'm looking for Lyco the banker.
Tell me why you are now seeking for him, or of what country are you?
I'll tell you. I'm come from Therapontigonus, Platagoras, the captain.
I' faith, I know the name.
Aside.
For with that same name, when I wrote, I filled 4 whole sides.
To Curculio.
But why are you seeking for Lyco?
Curculio showing the letter.
I've been ordered to deliver this letter to him.
What person are you?
His freed man, whom all call Sumanus.
Sumanus, my greetings. But why Sumanus? Let me know.
Because, when in my drunken fit I've gone to sleep, I sumane the garments. For that reason do all people call me Sumanus.
'Twere better for you to look out for entertainment for you somewhere else. Really, in my own house I have no room for a Sumanus. But I am the person that you are looking for.
Prithee, are you he, Lyco, the banker?
I am.
Therapontigonus requested me to give you a hearty greeting, and to deliver this letter.
What, to me?
Just so. Take it. Recognize the seal? Do you know it?
Lyco takes the letter.
Why should I not know it? On which a man, holding a shield, is cleaving an elephant asunder with a sword.
What's written there he bade me request you to do immediately, if you wished for his esteem.
Step aside. I'll look what's written in it.
Curculio stepping aside.
By all means, at your pleasure, so long as I receive of you that which I'm come for.
Lyco reads.
Therapontigonus Platygadorus, the captain, his guest, sends to his host Lyco, at Epidaurus, right hearty greeting.
Curculio aside.
This fellow's my own. He's swallowing the hook.
Lyco going on.
I beg and request of you that the person who delivers this letter to you, to him be given up the girl whom I purchased there, which I did there in your presence, and you being the negotiator, and the golden trinkets and clothes as well. You know already how it was agreed upon. You give the money to the Procurer, and give the young woman to this person.
To Curculio.
Oh, where is he himself? Why doesn't he come?
I'll tell you, because it is but 4 days since we arrived in Caria from India. There he now intends to order a solid golden statue to be made of Philippian gold, which is to be 7 feet high, a memorial of his exploits.
For what reason this?
I'll tell you. Why, because within 20 days he singly has subdued the Persians, Paphlagonians, Sinopeans, Arabians, Cretans, Syrians, Rhodia and Lycia, Peridia and Bibicia, Santaromachia and Classia Eunomamia, and all Libya, and all Cantaerebromia. 1/2 even of all nations has he conquered, unaided, in 20 days.
Dear me!
Why are you surprised?
Why, because if all these people were penned up in a cage as close as chickens, even so they couldn't be encompassed in a year. Upon my faith, I do believe that you are come from him, for you do jabber such nonsense.
Aye, and I can tell you still more if you like.
No, I don't want it. Follow me this way. I'll pay you that on account of which you came. And lo, I see.
Enter Cappadox from his house.
Save you, Procurer.
May the gods prosper you.
Do you know what this is about which I've come to you?
Say on what you please.
You are to receive the money, and to send away the young woman with him.
Pointing to Curculio.
But what if I'm bound on oath to another?
What matters that to you, so long as you get the money?
He who advises is as good as an accomplice. Do you follow?
Procurer, take care that you don't cause me any delay.
They go into the house of Cappadox. End of Act 3. Act 4 of Curculio, or The Forgery, by Titus Maccius Plautus, translated by Henry Thomas Riley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter the Choragus as chorus.
By my faith, Phaedromus has cleverly met with this clever rogue, but whether a saltwater rogue or a dry land one, I'm the rather to say he is, I really don't know. The costume that I've lent I fear I shan't get back. Although I have nothing whatever to do with him, I trusted Phaedromus himself, still I'll keep an eye upon him. But until he comes out of doors, I'll point out in what place you may easily meet with each person, that he mayn't lose his labor through too much trouble, if any one wishes to meet either a rascal, or one without rascality, or an honest man or a dishonest one. He who desires to meet with a perjured fellow, let him go into the courts of law. He who wants a liar and a braggart near the rights of Closina. The rich and erring husbands seek you at the magisterial halls of the Basilica. There, too, will be the worn-out harlots, and those who are wont to haggle for them. Contributors to picnic dinners you'll find in the fish market. In the lower part of the forum, good men and opulent do walk. In the middle, near and canal, there are the mere puffers off. Beyond the lake of Courteous are impudent, talkative, malevolent fellows, who boldly, without reason, utter calumnies about another, and who themselves have sufficient that might with truth be said against them. There, at the old shops, are those who lend and those who borrow at interest. Behind the temple of Castor, there are those to whom unguardedly you may be lending to your cost. There, in the Etrurian street, are those men who hold themselves on sale. In the Valabrum, you'll find either baker or butcher or soothsayer, either those who sell retail themselves or supply to others things to be sold by retail. Rich sinning husbands you'll find at the house of Oppian Lucadia, but meantime the door makes a noise. I must curb my tongue.
Exit. Scene 2. Enter, from the house of Cappadox, Curculio, leading Planesium, followed by Lyco and Cappadox.
Maiden, do you go before? What is behind me I cannot keep my eye upon. Both the trinkets of gold and all the clothing that she had were his own, he said.
No one is going to deny it.
Still, however, it's somewhat better for me to remind you.
Remember that you've undertaken that, if any one should assert in course of law that she's properly free, all the money is to be returned to me, 30 minae.
I shall remember. Be easy about that. And now I say the same.
But I wish you to remember this well.
I remember, and I shall deliver her to you on warranty.
And am I to take anything on warranty from a procurer? People who have nothing of their own except a tongue only, who, if anything's entrusted them, deny it upon oath. You procurers dispose of what belongs to others. You give liberty to what belongs to others, and what belongs to others you give your commands to. No guarantee of ownership is there in the transfer to yourselves, nor are you yourselves guarantees to another person. The race of procurers among mortals, in my way of thinking at least, are just like flies, gnats, bugs, lice, and fleas, a plague, a mischief, and a nuisance. You are of no serviceable use, and no respectable person dares to stand with you in the forum. He that does associate with you, they censure him. He is spat upon and abused. They say that he has lost his property and his honor, although he has done nothing at all.
Upon my faith, my clever one-eyed friend, in my way of thinking, you are well acquainted with the procurers.
You bankers, in faith, I put and place in the same rank. You are the very counterparts of them. They at least are on sale in dark corners. You in the very forum. You tear men to pieces with usury, they by persuading them amiss, and by means of their dens. Full many a proposed statute has the public confirmed on your account, which, when confirmed, you break. Some loophole you find out, just as boiling water becomes cold. So do you deem the laws.
Lyco, aside.
I'd rather I'd held my tongue.
Not wrongfully, and with good reason, are you abusive against them.
If abuse is uttered against those who deserve it not, that I do hold to be abuse. But if it is uttered against those who are deserving, it is fair censure. In my way of thinking, at least. I care nothing about your warranty, nor about any other procurer whatever. Lyco, do you want anything with me?
Heartily fare you well.
Farewell.
Going.
Hark you, I say to you.
Say on. What do you want?
Prithee, do you take care that all's well with her.
Pointing to Planesium.
I've brought her up in my house carefully and in chastity.
If you have such compassion for her, pray, what would you give for it to be all well with her?
A plaguey mishap for yourself.
You need take due care on that score about yourself.
Cappadox to Planesium, who is weeping.
Why, simpleton, do you cry? Don't be afraid. Upon my faith, I've sold you favourably. Take care, will you, and be a good girl. Now prettily accompany him, pretty one.
Samanus, do you want anything with me at present?
Fare you well, and health attend you.
Aside.
For you've kindly given me your services and your money.
Give abundant greetings to my patron.
I'll give them.
Exit with Planesium.
Procurer, do you wish for anything?
Give me those 10 minae for me to manage for myself with until things are better with me.
They shall be paid. Order them to be fetched tomorrow.
Exit.
Since I've successfully finished the matter, I wish to return thanks here in the temple. For long since, when a little girl, I bought her for 10 minae. But him who sold her to me, never since then have I set eyes upon. I think he's dead. What matters that to me? I've got the money. The man to whom the gods are propitious, for him, no doubt, they throw gain in his way. Now will I give my attention to my devotions. It's clear that he has a kind regard for me.
Goes into the temple. Scene 3. Entered Therapontigonus and Lyco.
I am come now inflamed with wrath in no moderate degree, but with that same with which I've learnt to deal with destruction upon cities. At once now, unless this moment you make haste instantly to pay me the 30 minae which I left with you, make haste to lay down your life.
By my troth, to no little mischief do I now devote you, but to that same to which I went wont to devote that man to whom I owe nothing at all.
Don't you be making yourself bold with me, or suppose that I shall be entreating you.
And you, indeed, shall never force me to pay you what has been paid, nor shall I give it you.
I thought this, when I entrusted you with it, that you would repay nothing at all.
Why, then, are you now asking it back of me?
I wish to know to whom you have paid it.
To your one-eyed freedman. He said that he was called Sumanus. I paid it to him, who brought me this sealed letter.
Gives him the letter.
What letter of mine? What one-eyed freedman that people called Sumanus are you dreaming about? I really have no freedman at all.
You act more wisely than a portion of the military men who have freed men, and then forsake them.
What have you done?
What you requested me, I've done for your sake, that I mightn't slight the messenger who had brought your seal's impression.
More fool than fool were you to give credit to this letter.
To that by which matters both public and private are carried on, ought I not to have given credit? I'll be off. The money has been properly paid you. Warrior, farewell.
How? Farewell?
Fare you ill, then, if you choose. Aye, all your life, so far as I'm concerned.
Exit.
What shall I do now? Of what use is it that I have caused kings to obey me if this obscure fellow is this day to laugh at me?
Scene 4. Enter Cappadox from the temple. Cappadox to himself.
The man to whom the gods are propitious, they cannot, I think, be angered with him. After I had finished my devotions, it then came into my mind, lest the banker should abscond, to go fetch the money, that I may make good cheer rather than he.
I had left my compliments for you at your house.
Therapontigonus Platagidorus, save you. Since you are come safe to Epidaurus this day at my house, you won't lick up one grain of salt.
You gave me a kind invitation. Things, however, are in a train for it to go badly with yourself. But how fares my purchase at your house?
Why, not at my house at all. Don't be bringing your witnesses. Assuredly, I don't owe you anything.
How's that?
What I was bound on oath to do, I've done.
Will you give me up the girl or not before I spit you with this sabre of mine, you whip scoundrel?
I bid you go to perdition with all my heart. Don't you be terrifying me. She has been carried off. You shall be carried off hence away from me, beyond a doubt, if you persist in abusing me, to whom I owe nothing but a punishing.
What? Threaten me with a punishing?
Aye, and by my troth, I'll not be threatening, but I'll give it if you persist in being impertinent to me.
A procurer, forsooth, threatening me? And are my combats and battles so many in number lying trodden under foot? But so may my sabre and my shield trustily aid me when fighting in the field. Unless the girl is restored to me, I'll at once cause the ants to carry you away piecemeal from this spot.
And so may my tweezers, my comb, my looking-glass, my crisping iron, and my hair scissors and scrubbing towel love me well. I don't value your high-sounding words, nor these big threats of yours, a bit more than my servant girl that washes out my sink. I've given her up to him who brought the money from you.
What person was that?
He said that he was Sumanus, your freedman.
Mine? You don't say so. I'faith, it's that Curculio that has put a trick upon me. When I think upon it, he stole my ring from me.
Cappadox, aside.
The captain has been finally appointed to a cashiered company.
Where now shall I find Curculio?
In some week, with the greatest ease, I'll make you find even 500 Curculios instead of one. Therefore I'm off. Fare you well, and my service to you.
Exit.
Fare you ill, a plague attend you. What shall I do? Shall I stop or go away? That I should have been imposed upon in this way? I'd like to give a reward to him who would point out that fellow to me.
Exit. End of Act 4. Act 5 of Curculio, or The Forgery, by Titus Maccius Plautus, translated by Henry Thomas Riley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Curculio with a ring from the house of Phaedromus.
I've heard that an ancient poet wrote in a tragedy that 2 women are worse than 1. Such is the fact. But a more crafty woman than is this mistress of Phaedromus I never saw or heard of, nor, in faith, can one be spoken of or imagined. She, as soon as ever she saw what I had got this ring, asked me whence I got it. Why do you ask that? Said I. Because I've need to know, said she. I said I wouldn't tell her. To get it away, she seized hold of my hand with her teeth. With much ado I betook me out of doors, and made my escape. Away with this slut.
Scene 2. Enter Planesium, followed by Phaedromus from his house.
My Phaedromus, make haste.
Make haste for what?
That you mayn't let the parasite escape the affairs of consequence.
Nothing have I of consequence. For what did I have I quickly made away with.
Seizes Curculio.
I've got him. What's the matter?
Ask him whence he got that ring. My father used to wear it.
Why, troth, and so did my aunt.
My mother gave it him to wear.
And your father, in his turn, to me.
You are talking nonsense.
I'm in the habit, for by reason of it I make a livelihood the more easily. What is the matter now?
I entreat you, don't be keeping me from finding my parents.
How can I? Have I got your father and mother hidden beneath a stone?
Holding up the ring.
I was born a free woman.
And so were many others, who are now in servitude.
Really now, I'm vexed.
For my part, I've told you how this came into my possession. How often must you be told? I cheated the captain at dice. I tell you.
Enter Therapontigonus. Therapontigonus eyeing Curculio.
I'm all right. See, here he is whom I was looking for. How do you do, good sir?
I hear you. 3 casts of the dice, if you like, ever, for that scarf of yours.
Why don't you go to very perdition with your casts and cat pennies? Either give me back the money or the young woman.
Curculio with an air of surprise.
What money? What rubbish are you talking about to me? What young woman are you demanding back of me?
The one you took away this day from the Procurer, you scoundrelly fellow.
I took none away.
Why, surely I see her. There she is.
Pointing to Planesium.
This young woman is free.
What? My female slave free, to whom I have never given her liberty?
Who gave you possession of her? Or of whom did you buy her? Let me know that.
Why, I paid the money for her through my banker, a sum which I'll have refunded to me fourfold by you and the Procurer.
You, who understand how to traffic in young women, kidnapped and of free birth, come you before the judge.
I shan't come.
I may call my witness to the summons.
No, you mayn't.
May Jupiter then utterly confound you. Live without witnesses then.
But I'm a person that he may summon.
Phaedromus to Curculio.
Do you step this way?
What? A slave summoned as a witness? Take you care.
Well, that you may know it, I'm free.
Then come before the judge. There's for you. Take that.
Gives him a blow.
Oh, townsman, help!
Why do you bawl so?
What right have you to strike him?
Because I chose.
Phaedromus to Curculio.
Step this way, you.
Pushes him towards the captain.
There, I'll give him up to you. Hold your noise.
Phaedromus, prithee do save me.
As I would myself and my own good genius. Captain, prithee, do tell me whence you got that ring, which this parasite purloined from you.
Planesium kneeling before the captain.
By your knees, I do entreat you to give us that information.
What matters that to you? You might as well ask after the sabre and the scarf how each came into my possession.
What airs the swaggerer does give himself.
Send that fellow away.
Pointing to Curculio.
Then I'll tell you all.
It's nonsense what he says.
Prithee, do let me know.
I'll tell you.
To Planesium.
Get up. Listen to this matter and give attention. My father Periphenes used to wear it.
Ha! Periphenes?
He, before he died, gave it to me as being his son, as it was right he should.
Oh, Jupiter!
And on that occasion he made me his heir.
O filial affection, do thou preserve me, since I have carefully preserved thee. Welcome, my brother.
How am I to believe that? Tell me, if you are speaking the truth, who was your mother?
Cleobula.
Who was your nurse?
Archistrata. Amid the sacred rites of Bacchus she had carried me to see the sights, after we had come thither, when now she had found me a place, a whirlwind arose, the scaffolding of the stage there tumbled down. I was greatly alarmed, and then someone, I know not who, seized hold of me, trembling and frightened, neither alive nor dead, and in what manner he carried me off I cannot say.
I recollect that disturbance happening, but do you tell me where is this person who carried you away?
I know not, but...
Showing a ring.
This ring I have all along preserved by me, with it long since was I lost.
Give it me to look at.
Curculio to Planesium.
Are you in your senses to be entrusting it to that fellow?
Holds her arm.
Do you only leave me alone?
She gives it to the captain. Therapontigonus examining it.
Oh, Jupiter! This is the same that I presented you upon your birthday. I recognize it as easily as my own self. Welcome to you, my sister.
My brother, welcome to you.
I trust the gods will prosper this matter for you.
And I, for all of us.
To the captain.
Do you, as having this day arrived, give a dinner in honor of your sister, he?
Pointing to Phaedromus.
Tomorrow will give one in honor of his marriage. We promise that.
Phaedromus to Curculio.
Do you hold your tongue?
I shan't hold my tongue, as things are turning out so well. Captain, do you promise her to him? I'll give the marriage portion.
What is the marriage portion?
What? That I give? Why, that always as long as he lives, he's to feed me.
I troth, he says what's fair. With my consent you shall do so. But this Procurer owes me the 30 minni.
For what reason so?
Because he agreed with me on these terms to give it back. That if anyone should assert her to be free-born in due course of law, he would without dispute pay back all the money.
Then let's go to the Procurer.
I agree.
This first I wish, to despatch my matter.
What's that?
That you will betroth her to me.
The captain considers.
Why do you hesitate, Captain, to give her as a wife to him?
If she is agreeable.
My brother, it is my wish.
So be it then.
You do rightly.
Captain, do you betroth me to her for my wife?
I do betroth her.
Phaedromus pointing to Curculio.
And to him do I promise support at my expense.
You do kindly, but
see, here's the Procurer coming. My treasurer, I mean.
Scene 3. Enter Cappadox in haste. Cappadox to himself.
Those who say that it's bad for bankers to be trusted utter nonsense. I say it's neither good nor bad for them to be trusted, and that I've fully experienced this day. They are not badly trusted who never repay, but with whom it is lost outright. As, for example, before this Lyco paid me the 10 minae, he had to go to every banker's counter. After there were no proceeds, I summoned the fellow with much noise. He appealed against me to the court. I was most confoundedly afraid that this day he'd be settling accounts with me before the praetor. But my friends forced him, so he paid the money at home. Now I'm resolved to make haste to my house.
Runs towards his door.
Hello, you, Procurer, I want you.
And I want you.
But I don't want either of you.
Stay this instant, will you?
And make you haste to disgorge the money with all despatch.
Cappadox to Phaedromus.
What have you to do with me?
To the captain.
Or what have you?
Because this day I shall be making a javelin of you, discharged from a catapulter, and twist you with the string, just as the catapulters are in the habit of doing.
I'll this day make a coxcomb of you, to be sleeping with a puppy in your bed. An iron one, I mean.
But I'll make you both be rotting in a strong-barred prison.
Seize him by the throat and away with him to extreme torture.
However that is, he'll be going there of his own accord.
The captain seizes him.
Oh, God send man your aid, that I, uncondemned and without evidence against me, should thus be dragged along. Prithee, Planesium, and you, Phaedromus, do give me assistance.
Brother, I do beseech you, don't ruin him uncondemned. He treated me kindly and modestly at his house.
That was through no inclination of his own. Give you thanks this Escaplius,
pointing to the temple,
that you have preserved your chastity, for if he had been well, he'd long ago have packed you off wherever he could.
Now attend to me, both of you, if I can arrange between you.
To the captain.
You let him go. Procurer, come you this way. I'll pronounce my opinion, if indeed you are ready to abide by what I shall decide you should do.
We leave it to you.
He lets go of the Procurer.
So long, i' as you give a decision to the effect that no one is to take the money away from me.
What? Not that which you promised?
I promised? How?
With your tongue.
With that same tongue I now gainsay it. That was given me by nature for the purpose of speaking, not of losing my property.
He's trifling. Seize the fellow by the throat.
Seizes him.
I'll at once, then, do as you bid me.
Since you are an honest man, answer me this that I ask you.
Ask me what you please.
Did you not promise that if anyone should show that she,
pointing to Planesium,
was free-born, you would pay back all the money?
I don't remember saying so.
What? Do you deny it?
Faith, I really do deny it. In whose presence, and in what place was it?
In my own presence, and that of Lyco the banker.
Why don't you hold your tongue?
I shan't hold my tongue.
I don't care a rush for you. Don't be bullying me.
In my own presence and that of Lyco it took place.
Phaedromus to the captain.
I quite believe you. Now therefore, Procurer, that you may know my judgment,
pointing to Planesium,
she is a free woman. He,
pointing to the captain,
is her brother, and she is his sister. She is engaged to me. Do you restore him the money? That's my decision.
Upon my faith, Phaedromus, you have given this decision corruptly. It shall both be bad for you and you, Captain. May the gods and goddesses confound you.
As for you, you shall be clapped in prison at once unless the money's returned me.
Then follow me.
Follow you where?
To my banker, to the praetor. For it's there that I pay my money to all persons to whom I'm indebted.
I'll be carrying you hence to prison and not to the praetor if you don't pay back the money.
I do most earnestly wish you may come to a bad end, so don't misunderstand me.
Do you really so?
Faith, I really do so.
I don't misunderstand these fists of mine.
Holding them up.
What then?
What then, do you ask? With these same fists, if you provoke me, I'll be making you quiet immediately.
Cappadox taking the money from his girdle.
Well then, take this back at once.
Therapontigonus taking the money.
By all means.
Captain, you'll dine with me. The nuptials shall take place today.
May this matter turn out well for me and for yourselves.
Spectators, give us your applause.
End of Act 5. End of Curculio, or The Forgery, by Titus Maccius Plautus, translated by Henry Thomas Riley.